days like today make me question if chemo was the right treatment for my cancer and radiation. When I was diagnosed, they immediately decided they were going to do a needle biopsy guided by ultrasound to check to see if it was cancer. But when I asked after the mastectomy, well after the mastectomy, one of my appointments that I went to, and I think even after I was like going through chemo, I asked somebody, would we have removed those 2 lumps, 2 spots, whether it was cancer or not? Like, was the biopsy necessary, or would we have decided to remove those? And they said, oh yeah, we would have taken those out. Because when they saw him, they said, well, whether it's cancer or not, it's something, and that has to come out. So why did we do a needle biopsy? And then we did a needle biopsy and waited 2 months to have surgery. And ironically, when they did the guided ultrasound of everything and the mammogram at first, they said, well, the good news is we don't detect anything in your lymph nodes. However, after waiting 2 months after a needle biopsy that opened up that tumor, 2 months later, and having the mastectomy, it had spread to 3 out of 4 lymph nodes. And I asked, could that have happened because we waited 2 months? And absolutely, they all said no. No, that is impossible to happen. But it isn't. It is not impossible to happen. I've studied about it. It can happen. There are a lot of oncologists, that aren't particularly popular, that are saying that they feel like the biopsies can open up that tumor that your body has purposefully encapsulated to protect you and allow the cancer cells to come out. Now, when they say no, that's not possible, this is why I know it's possible. Because after a mastectomy that removed not only the tumors, but the lymph nodes that were affected, as well as all the surrounding breast tissue, I had to have chemo for any rogue cancer cells that might have been floating around in my body. How would they have gotten out into my body? How would that have happened? Why would they be floating around if we removed the cancer, and if we removed the tumors that had the cancer in them, and that it's just absolutely impossible for that biopsy to have opened them up and let it float around? But it is possible to take off the entire breast and have some cancer cells floating around. And then it's possible that after a mastectomy, and you take chemo to kill off anything that might be floating around, and then extreme radiation to also kill anything that might be floating around, that's not good enough. Now for 10 years, I have to take a hormone blocker just in case there's any rogue cancer cells floating around that may become something. And so they can't be fed estrogen because they may develop into like crazy aggressive cancer cells and metastasize, and I may develop cancer again. So I have to take a hormone blocker for 10 years to starve the cancer cells that could possibly be floating around in my body. After I had a full mastectomy, I had chemotherapy and radiation. There could still be something floating around. But you're going to tell me that poking a hole in the tumor with a needle and then waiting 2 months before we did anything didn't let the cancer escape into my body? Bull. That's a lie. That is a lie. The more I've read and the more that I educate myself, that is a lie. And if you're not lying, explain to me why a biopsy is impossible. A needle biopsy poking the tumor makes it impossible, in your opinion, for cancer to come out of the cell, the tumor. It's impossible. Couldn't happen. There's no way that that's what happened. And it spread to my lymph nodes. There's no way possible. However, after surgery of removal of everything that ever came in any contact and cleared margins, then we do chemotherapy, then we do radiation, and then to really top her off, we give her 10 years of hormone blockers just in case there was some cancer cells floating around after all that aggressive treatment. That's a lie. I've been lied to. And it's infuriating because I'm not a dumb person. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that there are other women that this exact same thing is happening to. And I do not want to say paranoid things and conspiracy theory things saying, well, it's all just so they can take money. But if you know that you're going to remove lumps, but you do a needle biopsy anyway, why? How much money did you make off the needle biopsy? Why does there have to be certain steps to do before the next step is possible? And I know that they can make exceptions on lots of things. And I know many doctors say, well, we can get such and such done. We just got to word it right so the insurance companies will pay for it. And like, I know some of the things that the doctors have done, and I'm not going to say it's been illegal, but working around the system so that certain things can get done of things that I want done, like I request things. But then I can't get, like, they'll do that when it's more money, right? They'll work with me. They'll twist it. They'll configure it in a way that benefits what I think is me. But only when it is something that is going to require insurance to pay for it, right? But if I reject any kind of treatments, then they act like I am ridiculous and that I am going against medical advice, and they really don't even want to deal with me. They don't want to deal with me at all. Every single time I go to my oncologist, because I've said no on certain things because I've researched it. And like, I'm not going to try to prevent cancer from coming back, but destroy my liver. I'm not going to take Neurontin because I have pain that can cause dementia. I'm not going to take that pill and destroy my brain because of nerve pain, when I could simply be stretching and doing other modalities that they don't get paid for, right? But they won't do that. If I say anything, they'll say, well, you know, if you don't want, I'll say I'll get headaches, for instance. Like, it makes me so mad. Like, I get headaches from the hormone blockers. And so when I go in, they say, okay, how are you doing? I'm fine. You have any issues with your hormone blockers? Yes, I have a headache every day. They say, okay, would you like me to order you an MRI? No, I don't need my brain scanned. I know what's causing it. I have no hormones. Like, we know what's causing that. And so they say, well, I don't know what to do for you. Take some Tylenol. And I'm like, okay, thanks for all the consideration. I mean, not that they can do anything about it. But if I don't let them do an MRI, or if I don't jump through the costly hoops that they suggest, then they're like, well, we don't know what we can, there's nothing else. Just live with it. Just live with it. I get told that a lot. When I say something's difficult, they're like, well, just live with it, because it'd be a lot worse, the alternative, if the cancer came back. So you're just going to have to learn to live with it. A few people have said, you know, we want you to have a good quality of life, but they don't do anything to make me have a good quality of life. They say it, but any suggestions they make is a medication that's going to reduce my quality of life every time. And it's disheartening. And I feel like I've been lied to and tricked, and I've been bamboozled. I've been bamboozled. I think we've all been bamboozled. I'm going to pray about it. Okay. God bless you.